It's starting.
How many times have you watched this, first of all?
Great question. I've even seen it like twice this week.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure. Twice today, I'm sure.
Yeah, actually, I did scroll through it a couple of times.
I believe it.
I think thousands and thousands of times, I think, at this point.
I think you don't get up in the morning without
Popping it in.
Girl.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All of Mary's beautiful footage.
I know, I love this kind of morning. We're all just waking up into the city.
All just waking up to be badasses.
Starting the day.
Yes. What's the story of getting all of this footage? Did you go out? Did you just let Mary kind of loose on the city?
Yeah, for a lot of it, I let Mary and Francesca loose on the city, and then, you know, we would shoot different stuff, and I would tell them kind of what neighborhoods that I wanted, and then I kind of cultivated truly what I thought were, like, the morning dew shots, because I kind of wanted to start the movie as, like, we're starting the day fresh, you know, we're seeing the yellow cab, the streets aren't full yet, I wanted to kind of set the scene of, like, we're beginning something. I know, the animations are so good.
I never get tired of seeing them.
They're so beautiful, and the colors are so good.
Yeah, Mighty Oak is, like...
so talented.
Yeah. Even their Instagram feed is just, like, one to follow for sure.
One to watch.
Yes.
Like it was my fault. I started dressing differently and tried to stay out of
Oh my god, baby Erin.
It was hard for me to feel empowered.
I know, this
This
is
is
like
you, like-
4 years ago.
Yeah, this is, like, circa 2014 footage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
I found inspiration from a community of feminists. I found
A little glimpse into the entrepreneurs we're going to meet later.
I'm having a really hard time not, like, narrating the film. Because
Because you know all the words.
I found support
I feel like
from a
that's the
community.
hardest part of going to screenings is I will literally mouth the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have to remove myself because it's just embedded in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even watch it anymore as, like, a movie. Like, that, I mean, those days were gone 2 years ago, but
for a while. It started to gain momentum
I can't believe this released 2 years ago.
My old apartment.
and started attending.
Just down the hall.
Yeah, it was really weird. In the Kickstarter video, when you talk about you're like sitting in your like Brooklyn apartment or whatever, and then when I came here like a year after that, and we like were just hanging out in your apartment, probably watching the movie for a change. It was so weird to like be in your Brooklyn apartment,
Because you
be, like, with
seen
you.
it and, yeah.
and it was like
It's a real place.
a small world.
It's like going to Sesame Street.
I mean, it really was. It really, really was like going to Sesame Street. Mary Brino.
Inspiring women.
Little Mary action.
Mariama.
Thing you're never supposed to do.
It's the neatest I've ever seen you write.
I began
Really?
a movie, put together
That's my
a
favorite
concept
line, I think, of the intro.
and with the help of
Is quitting my job.
Yeah.
Because I did it really serious the first couple of takes, and then I was like, let's make this fun. I'm out of here.
Bye.
Bye.
This wasn't just about making a movie. It was about showing girls
Where did you get this footage from?
power to change.
We did, you'll notice all the little girls are in leotards,
Mm-hmm.
but we shot at a gymnastics studio. You'll see the little girls at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in a gymnastics class. So kind of in between actually interviewing them, we shot them like with the chalk and,
Oh,
you
wow.
know. And it was really funny, actually. I had a PA who was a guy that day because we needed an extra set of hands, and Mary really liked him. His name was Jacob. And the girls covered him in chalk. He was wearing like a white t-shirt, and he just got annihilated. It was amazing. If you go deep into our Instagram archives, you can probably find him just like covered in chalk.
Be right back. Checking that out immediately.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is a little nod to my mom, actually, that
Not get a loan from it.
rocking horse imagery.
Really?
Yeah, because I was born in 1987, and when I was born, my mom put a rocking chair image in the window to tell my aunt. I know already.
I did not expect you to say anything during this that I didn't already know, and you just proved me wrong in the first 5
I was
minutes.
thinking, like, how can we illustrate, like babies being born?
Yeah.
And so that was, like, something that was just personal to me.
I
I
don't
don't know
you
if
had
my
a
mom-
rattle there for a while, and then it became a rocking
Yeah, I
horse.
felt like it was too... I wanted something a little more...
10 years.
I don't know. I don't even know if my mom knows that. But yeah, my Aunt Gail would walk by every day, and she said, when I'm in labor, I'll put the rocking horse, because my room was rocking horse theme.
I knew from
What?
Yep.
Were you born in a hospital?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she was like, I'm going into labor, the rocking horse is up kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So your aunt was already at the hospital.
No, they lived next door to each other.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it. Wow, a rocking horse.
I know, a little nod.
I'm not over that.
Who knows what other gems it'll uncover?
Here we go. I'm open to anything.
I mean, we've never really watched the movie in conversation before, so.
Yeah, we're usually not allowed to talk.
That's true.
Just kidding, I'm joking.
Well, usually you don't talk during a movie.
Canada in the house. Como Minhas.
Como. Our first entrepreneur. I wanted to give the people Como first.
Why?
Give them a taste. Well, I think also in anticipation of kind of putting her journey parallel to mine right away, I thought would be a good start since our journeys start intertwining. And I think Como is unusual because I think she came out of the gate knowing she wanted to be an entrepreneur, whereas I had to find it. And so I also liked the parallel of the way that we have kind of come to being kind of in the leadership space.
Yeah, definitely.
I love all the pictures of them as kids. It's so cute.
Yeah. Baby bosses.
And then this footage was actually shot by a Canadian cinematographer who followed Como around for a couple of days. So
Yeah, Milen. I was there for this footage.
You were there?
I was visiting. Como flew me out for a few days just to kind of help out. And I was working remotely in Calgary, so she was like, it'd be so fun for us to be in the same room and just like work together. So we planned to film this stuff while I was there, and it was so much fun.
I can't believe you don't make a sneak peek in this footage.
I
you
did.
in?
I was in a whole bunch of it.
Oh, I guess you're in later, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff in the elevator that you see later.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm learning something now, too. Look at us go.
I feel like you probably knew that.
No, I feel like, well, maybe I did while editing, but I've forgotten it since.
Yeah. I remember the day of, Como had this like crazy shot list of all the things she wanted, and I was just like, it was like 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and I was like, okay, yeah, we'll see. It was like taking a little kid to Target. You're like, we'll see how much we can fit in the cart. Like, we'll see what we can get, and we got all of it. It was the most efficient day I have ever been a part of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. She's talking to Mitch on this call.
Spoiler.
I'm popping the bubbles. I'm pulling back the curtain.
If you asked other people, they'll probably say something like, oh, Annie gets something into her head and then she will go through mountains to make that happen.
So Annie, you always talk about Annie being your favorite character. Why is she your favorite?
You know, they're all my favorites.
With love to the
You
whole
know,
group.
Yeah. Annie is one of my favorites because our executive producers wanted me to take her out of the movie. And they thought because Annie is kind of a like an introverted leader, like she's not loud, she's not obnoxious, she doesn't have like a really aggressive like energy that some of the other women have. They were worried she'd get lost on screen. And I disagreed. I think that like being able to show the different types of leadership were really important to me, and I thought she had a beautiful story. And I actually cried when I rewatched her footage, when I went back and rewatched all the footage. I remember liking her on set, but thinking like, oh, this is a good interview. And then when it translated on screen, which is something that happens, things feel differently when it's, pressed to the footage. So it really emotionally hit me. And I from that moment, I was like, we have to really make sure that I'm sensitive with her story, that it feels right, that it's coming together in a good way, because she just meant a lot to me. And hers was the hardest to interweave towards the end when we were kind of doing all the middles and making sure everything fit, because I really wanted her to have, an ending that really hit. So yeah, I love Annie. I love her energy. I love her personality. I love her logistical brain. I think that's also something that I can kind of identify with, but not really. I think as an artist and a creative, we even did a panel in Egypt, and like everything I said, she would say the opposite. And we kind of ended up giving similar advice, but the way that we get there is so different. And so I really like the way that Annie, just how she thinks and her energy.
This is my favorite scene. Because I just
She's
love her being
explaining.
like a polymer rather than a composite. I'm just like, get it, Annie. Explain to the people what's going on. It's like my favorite thing. I think it is her reluctance that, oh, Clara, It's her reluctance that makes Annie, I think, so universal to people, because you're right, like, she, like, steps into entrepreneurship and she's such a boss, but there is that, like, kind of quiet storm to her.
For sure.
I love that.
And then there's Clara.
Oh my god, enter Miss Villarosa.
Who everyone wants to be when they grow up, I think, over and over again. May we be so lucky to live so many lives as Clara.
Yeah.
Our wild card, truly, I think.
How did you come across Clara? How did you guys cross paths?
One of our Kickstarter backers suggested The Family to me. They were like, you should check out the Villarosas, because Linda wrote for Essence, writes for the New York Times, and Alicia is like a really big activist in the community as well, Clara's other daughter. So I was like, okay, let me meet the three of them. And Linda actually lives 2 blocks away from us, so she's in Park Slope. And I went over to their house, and I hung out with the daughters, and then all of a sudden, Clara barrels in the room, and she's got a clipboard, and she's taking notes, and she's down to business. And I was like, I can't put this woman on screen with her daughters. She'll swallow them.
Yeah.
We need to give this woman all the space. And I loved her journey of kind of rediscovering herself at 53. To know that you have until 53 to really spread your wings and fly. I mean, what a gift to give women that they don't have to know right now. And so I loved Clara's story. Everyone loves her energy. And I think also the wisdom that you have when you're older, I think, is so aspirational, because she just so deeply knows who she is.
Yeah. And gives so much space to others to, like, not be able to name immediately who they are. Like, she doesn't need you to come to the table having all the answers. You don't need to, like, show up and be this, like, persona to her. She really, we've crossed paths a few times just over the past couple of years, and it's like, she is just she just holds your hand and, like, looks into your eyes, and you just, like, are galvanized. She's incredible.
Yeah. I would say of all the entrepreneurs, whenever I do screenings with Clara, people want hugs after. They want a little bit of that magic coming to them.
Yeah. To publish it.
Boom.
Love it.
We're still in our morning montage with a little bit of the coffee.
Going to work with Miss Joanne Wilson.
Oh, Joanne, the Gotham gal. I love Joanne. I feel like she's like the smartest woman in New York City.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. She is. I remember watching the first cut of this, and I watched Joanne, and I was like, okay, all right then.
Did she scare you?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But also no, because I think it's, like, just so empowering to see a woman occupy that space on screen specifically. Mm-hmm. So how often do we see the Joannes of the world? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, she's just so, what she said about being, like, non-emotional, get shit done. It is such a masculine energy that's, like, very complex that we don't get to see a lot. And the other thing that I love about Joanne is that her person, I was going to say her character, she's a real person, is so complex. Like, she's also the mother bear in this.
Yeah.
And her discussions about maternity leave and motherhood are so important. So here she is, like, occupying this really masculine energy while being, like, deeply embedded and invested in kind of mothering her entrepreneurs, which I thought was really interesting as a polarity as well.
Yeah. And you talk to, so many people, their favorite part of the documentary is the stats on motherhood and maternity leave.
Oh, we'll get there.
Oh, I know it. 85.
I wonder where she's at now.
I think it's up to, 94 or 92. It's up there. She just talked about it.
It's been 2 years, so I would say.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing. I love it.
Joanne's, her office is also, like, the coolest thing I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, tell me about it.
This is her boardroom. She has you can't really see them, but she has all of these huge prints that her daughter took of, like, New York City drag queens, like, deli storefronts, just, like, such cool, beautiful New York prints. She has great art in her office. We show a little bit of it later on. But she has just the coolest space on the west side. Mariama.
Oh my gosh, the flowers, the everything.
Our flower child.
She is our flower child.
Mariama was one of the first women we interviewed. She was in our Kickstarter.
Well, you also interviewed for her for Feminist Wednesday, right?
Yes, that's how we found her. And it was interesting because at the time Mariama didn't identify as a feminist, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to put her on the blog because I thought that was interesting, and I'm a feminist. It was a feminist blog. And I was like, the work she's doing is great. If she doesn't identify, like, but she still wants to be on my blog, then, like, let's go for it. And I had like 45 people comment on that article, and Feminist Wednesday, which is still in operation, is pretty small. We've never had any feedback like that. And like all of Africa and West Africa and Guinea came out and they were like, Mariama! And I was like, who is this woman? Like, who are her people? And then once I met her in person, I was like, oh yeah, like I get it now.
Yeah.
Like Mariama is 7 feet tall. She glides into a room. She's almost like a goddess. She's like a magical, you can't even believe she's one of us. She's like Beyonce level.
Yeah, she
Grace.
is Beyonce level. And she's so hardworking. Like, following her Instagram, she just got profiled on Elle, which is amazing. But she does so much work around FGM, and, the work that she does with There Is No Limit is incredible.
And I wore one of the tie-dyed jumpsuits for our premiere that people can watch.
Out of my
That
mouth.
Q&A after this one. They can head right to the Paris Theater and check out my white jumpsuit that I had hand tie-dyed by some gorgeous and talented artisans in West Africa, which was like the greatest. Yeah, Mariam is always on the go. She was probably the hardest to nail down to do this interview.
I believe it.
To do any interviews, because she's constantly in Africa. She's constantly up and down the Ivory Coast. She's in France. She's in Switzerland. I mean, she's really a woman on the go. She cannot be contained.
Yeah.
I also love that she has this United States like laptop
I've
cover.
always
So
wanted
cute.
to ask about that. Is
Yeah,
it just
it
that
makes
she loves
another
it?
appearance later. Well, she's a U.S. citizen now, so I don't know. I just think it's so cute. Like, what a thing of pride,
I love it.
I also want all of these outfits. Those scarves that Eleanor is wearing, I also gave to all my bridesmaids.
I gave one to my mom.
Yeah, they're the
And
best.
Michelle Obama wore one of her dresses.
Yeah,
so
she did.
That's incredible as well.
In good company.
Mm-hmm. I want to wear flowers in my hair every single day.
The time is now. Although she even does it in winter, we saw before.
Yeah.
We're showing a colder side of New York as we enter into the movie. This is one of my favorite stories that Annie shares.
Yeah. Did you interview Zach at all?
I didn't.
I mean, you didn't need to, but...
I mean, we get to see them on camera, like, a little bit here and there, and then he has that, that moment towards the end where we can kind of see their relationship. To be honest, Komal and I were not co-founders during the shooting of this, so I didn't really ask a lot of co-founder questions, and I wish I would have.
Oh, okay.
I feel like there's a lot that's probably there that I kind of just, as a solopreneur, wasn't even thinking about how complex that dynamic is.
Yeah.
We don't even really talk about co-founders, aside from showing my journey with Komal. We don't really get into kind of the logistics of that or how that works.
Yeah.
We do a little bit with Clara and her daughters in a way that you can kind of see their relationship, but we never really name it.
Yeah.
I mean, so many things to go into.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's what makes this, like, such a, like, textured film, is that there are so many. There should be, like, 500 Dreamgirl films. Like, it's like, this could go
on and on and on.
You could deep dive any single one of the issues that are raised.
Right. I
I'm
love
obsessed.
this quote is everything.
Like, so, like, alone in such a, like, crowded space. Just, like, she's so empowered.
And Annie
so...
actually chose that dress, too, for us. When we were shooting, she was like, you see me a lot in, like, black and dark colors. And she's like, I want to show that you can be feminine. Aww. And so to kind of see her floating through Grand Central like that is really special. And that was a special dress for her.
I want to go the tattered cover.
Joyce, where are you?
Joyce! We sent you a DVD.
Do we ever hear back from her?
No.
Joyce, where are you? We miss you.
Joyce Meskis gets like a shout out in the film.
Oh, our first intro, Marie Forleo.
Oh my gosh.
What
the fairy godmother.
I love it.
The queen of all things.
Marie was our first interview.
Yeah, how was that?
Can you imagine how brain dead I was that I was like, let's start with you. I rewatched her full interview because we released it, and I just say cool after every question. Like, I'm not engaging, like, I'm not, and by the end of it, thank God, as I watched, you know, more and we released other, I'm like, oh, and, like, I'm able to direct and talk and, like, have a conversation. But with Marie, I literally said, cool. I was so mortified, and I was probably so nervous that I just didn't even know what to do.
Had you, and this is, like, not, like, had you interviewed anyone before? Like, in a sense of either on camera or, like, had you been that journalist reporter type?
We've done the Kickstarter interviews. I for sure have interviewed people in college, but not on a set that was I mean, I think the pressure was a little bit different. And also, like, the questions, like, by the end of, you know, the first 3 days, I knew all the questions by heart. I didn't have to look at the paper anymore.
Of course, yeah.
So I think it was just the jitters.
For sure, yeah. Well, you're interviewing a celeb. And you're interviewing someone who means so much to so many women around the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, no pressure.
No pressure. And our audio was broken that day, too. And we had to push the interview by, like, 30 minutes. And Marie's just sitting there waiting. And Sharon is, like, in the back screaming at the audio person. And I'm kind of just trying to be cool.
Yeah.
Play it cool.
Be the director. Be the leader. Set the tone.
Yeah, it was a rough first day. But we got it. And everything is...
history.
Looks great. Footage looks great.
It's funny, the sausage making that goes into documentary films and films in general, but documentary
I also have to say, this photo, Baus didn't want me to use that photo.
Why?
I don't know. He was like, he wasn't sure about it. And I was like, we got to show her pregnant. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was
we can't
like
show pregnant people?
I don't know. I'm not sure why his thought was.
Okay.
I love that photo for them. And this story is so badass.
Mm-hmm. Look at all the brownstones.
Joanne's home is also beautiful, I should say.
I mean, I assumed.
Actually, you can't see it, but the floor, you can kind of see in the background, in the corner. She has like a black and white striped, you can see it right there, rug that runs throughout the whole, like, floor. What? For this room. It looks so cool. It's like such a cool space.
I love her, like, angelic
kind of backlighting here.
Yeah. It's such a different look than the rest of the film to me. And it's such a, like, moment too for her.
Yeah, it was really special for her to go through all her photos with us and share the ones that she really loved. It was a really great, I had a couple of really great days with her. And I love this jacket she's wearing.
I know. Does it, like, can you, like, fluff it? Like,
it's
are they
like
all kind of loose?
Michelin Man. Like, it's just so cool in, like, New York and black and
so tactile.
Effortless.
She really knows how to dress for camera. The floral shirt she's wearing in her office I'm obsessed with it. It looks so good on the screen.
We should have went to our closet.
We should have.
We really missed an opportunity.
Also, hoop earrings. Anyways. Oh, I love Amanda.
Amanda, we'll meet Hadley in a few minutes, her 8-week-old, and she has 3 kids now, which is outrageous.
I know. I was talking to her and she said that she can't have any more kids because there are no 4-bedroom apartments in New York City, so by necessity, they're done.
Oh my gosh. Every time I see Hadley, because now she, like, is... I don't know, she must be 3 or 4. She's walking around. She's older. I mean, it's crazy to see.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite parts of the film. I love the audience reactions during this where people just audibly feel sick and gasp. It's funny, in Canada, it's not as big because you guys have universal health care for women specifically and maternity and paternity leave. And
I think we are so aware of, like, you know, maybe I shouldn't say everybody knows that there's no maternity leave in America, but we are aware of the issue here.
Yeah. A lot of Americans don't.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tweets I got is somebody was like, my congressman is sitting next to me. And I'm so glad that you showed those stats, and I hope they, like, take that to heart.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Also a congressman at a screening.
Yeah, we've had a couple of representatives and government officials watch the film. Embassy members. You know, we all over the place.
People at the White House.
You know, NASA.
A few people. A few. Did you experience that? Did you experience the stress of the guilt of not building it every single hour of every day?
100%. I still feel it. I love that quote that Como says about the guilt. I think it so names the energy, especially I think the first 2 years of your business, you just feel like you're flailing. You feel like you're never doing enough. And then I felt like after 2 years, everything kind of levels out and you know what your objectives are like week to week. But, oh, there's Diana. You never wear your glasses anymore.
No, I don't.
I'm always like, who is that person?
I know. The fun fact, the night before we filmed this, I hopped a fence with my bike because I got like into this kind of cordoned off area and I didn't mean to. I like took the wrong turn on a bike like trail. And so I jumped the fence and there were scratches all over my legs and I wore this dress to the office and I looked down and I was like, my legs were like thrashed and
my
bruised.
God.
It was insane.
Were you like running from a stray dog? Why are you hopping fences
No,
like
it
a
was
teenager?
like, oh my gosh, because I am a teenager. It was like too long to go back. I could just jump the fence and like get back on the trail. Otherwise, I had to go all the way back. So I jumped the fence.
Wow, look at you.
I think about that every time I watch that scene.
Diana Matthews, the fence jumper.
Krista, I mean, they both look gorgeous, but Krista's skin in this scene, I'm obsessed. She looks beautiful. She's glowing.
Yeah, the lighting is good. They all look good. This line always gets people. It's so great. It's so real. It's so honest. It's just like, boom. And I think it really shocks people because I think you think when you find yourself in alignment, everybody else will get in formation, and that is not the case.
Yeah.
People don't want you to, become a workaholic or, it changes your dynamic with people. So it's really interesting. And I love that line.
Well, I love and it also names the thing that loved ones, especially parents, they just want you to be secure and they just want you to be safe.
For sure.
And
have healthcare.
Have healthcare. Have a way to pay the bills every month. Have a way to keep a roof over your head. So anything that, detracts from that is obviously going to be something that's hard for them to fully accept. Mariama, the workaholic.
This is one of her mentors who owns a beautiful men's Italian clothing store on the Upper East Side, I want to say. And he kind of taught her a lot about textiles, and they're really good friends. Whenever she's in New York, she always has cappuccino, and that's kind of like their hangout. So that was a really special place for her to bring us.
I love that. I also love that you guys obviously went there at nighttime, and it kind of shows the after hours aspect of entrepreneurship. Of like, you just keep working, which is the whole theme of this.
This is footage that Mariama shared with us from There Is No Limit Foundation. Which is really cool to be able to see like the fabrics in action and to really know like what goes into making it. And just kind of the joy that she brings when she pops into these places. And then transition our trees back into the city.
This is also a big naming moment. There's so many moments in this movie, but the way that all the entrepreneurs are so intentional in their experiences and they're so aware of what's at play when they go to work and create their companies and go through the day-to-day. Like, what I was so taken aback by when I first heard these interviews was like the the clarity of what they're naming and the clarity of their experience and just like being able to say what things are.
This is one of, I mean, across the board, when I talk to people, Suzanne, and to your point of like the women knowing how to name it, you know, her saying that, you know, you don't want to be a leader because you don't want to be that image of a leader. And like, what do we do with the vulnerability and how do we showcase the power of that? This line in the film is hands down what gets repeated to me over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Every panel afterwards wants to talk about vulnerability and the power of that because it's such an interesting and it's such a new thought, and I think it's something that women instinctively know.
Yeah.
That isn't really mainstream.
Vulnerable is one of the most powerful places that we can be. It's where we deeply connect with people. It's where we engage people.
I was watching the behind the scenes footage, editing some other clips, and Suzanne was telling us that her spirit animal is the winged horned owl.
Yeah.
And the room that we filmed her in had a bunch of owls in it. And it was like such a cool space of alignment for us to be there with her.
Feeling, but like, what if the value of that business was like $50 million?
What's your favorite part?
This is like hands down the best. No, it's not my favorite. It's like,
It's in your top.
it's profound
Yeah.
to see this happen.
You know what's so funny is I'm sitting underneath the table.
Yeah.
And Francesca, who was doing audio that day, was underneath the table. Or was she underneath the table? Yeah, I think we were both underneath the table, and then Mary is shooting because this room is so small. And when Zach and her had this conversation, I was like, oh man, like we got it. Like we got it. Like I'm under the table, like, you know, gesturing and stuff, and they can't see me, but I was like, this is great. It was amazing.
Gold. You must have been so nervous though, and she was like,
Well, it's funny, Annie really went there with him too. She was like, these are some of the things that like we talk about that I want to talk about, and like it was really, she kind of steers this whole scene, and then, you know, she kind of tees him up and he just
knocks it out of the park.
It's not on me, it's not my choice, it's not my decision. Like letting women lead, letting women be the authority of their experiences. So powerful. Boom.
Oh, Zach. God, if he stood up, everybody would be like cheering.
I was doing a story hour for the children, and then at one point they said,
I wish I could go to Clara's story hours.
You can use this as a coaster too if you want.
We use Post-its as coasters?
Yeah, that's what we're doing right
I
now.
love it. How janky and kind of weird.
You're in the belly of the beast right now in my office,
know.
so everything is a little
Your office is...
outrageous.
Yeah.
being a business person.
I love all the archive footage we got from Clara and her daughters. I mean, they really just unloaded on me. It was fantastic. This is also one of my favorite setups, too. One of my favorite parts on set was, like, we put the chair in, and before the entrepreneurs come, I would set direct all of the backgrounds and stuff. And the one woman who we filmed, like, 4 of these interviews in her house, she just had the coolest stuff. So, like, this butterfly and, like, these beautiful plants. She just let us, like, destroy her apartment. I mean, we took things from every corner, like moved art around.
How did you find the spaces?
Airbnb.
Really?
Yeah, we booked them for a week at a time, and then we just loaded all the equipment in, filmed 3 interviews. We did, you know, like a couple interviews every single day, and then we'd load it all up again and onward. We only used 3 sets for all these interviews, but we used different corners of every room, so it looks...
Yeah, everything looks new.
And then she just soared. And it was, I think that her life had been constraining her.
I love the commentary of the daughters leaning into like their mother's experience and kind of knowing and seeing too that the divorce had such a big impact of that, and being able to name it and just kind of release it. And then I really liked following up kind of Linda and Alicia's experience with like what's Clara's family like? What does she remember her, you know, mother, and her, like, what's generationally does she bring with her?
Yeah, even like when we saw each other at the photo shoot, you know, Clara was talking about her divorce, and her daughters are so able to like openly just talk about it, and like it's just a like fact of life. And I love the way that they're all just so vulnerable with each other all the time. And like,
I love that family. I really could just spend all day in there at Brownstone. Like, really.
let's do it. Let's go over there.
Yeah, after this we'll go get lunch.
The first bookstore in Denver. I decided to move to New York to join my daughter and grandchildren. And then someone started talking to me about opening.
And her kids, or the grandkids too, are so old now. It's such a great...
I know, I saw prom photos from her grandson.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
Looks like
Nick
a
and
model.
Kelly. Yeah, they both are.
They actually are models?
I don't know, they could be.
They should be.
Were by black people in Harlem. There were thousands of them. And I always wanted to have a store that made them.
No, I'm just like watching the movie and like, enjoying
I know,
it
we
like
kind of
everybody else.
zoning in and out.
Well, this is what happens is you just like, the content's so good.
And one of the things I marketed the store in Denver, it was the largest African American.
I love this story so much, of her just stepping into the power of what could be and just naming it and owning it. And I think one of my deepest regrets is that I've never been to the Hue-Man bookstore.
Yeah. What an incredible space. Can I ask you a risky question?
Sure.
Have you ever said any chutzpah about Dreamgirl to kind of push yourself into a space that maybe you otherwise wouldn't be in?
Oh, for sure. All the time.
Really?
Well, I mean, specifically, like, when we were planning for the Kickstarter, and people would be like, okay, like, when you get funding, like, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, we'll be on Netflix. Or we'll, like, premiere here. Like, I would just, you know, you have to kind of... I mean, what was I going to say? Like, nobody's going to watch the movie that I'm going to make?
No big plans. I don't really know.
Yeah, sometimes you kind of have to just hoop it in and, you know, see what happens. I mean, something that I learned from Joanne, specifically with pitching her, is that she, you know, investors want to know your big dreams. They want to know you have big vision. So I think it's actually part of being an entrepreneur is you have to, like, be realistic, and you should know your stats and your numbers and blah, blah, blah. But they want to know they want you to think you're a unicorn, and they want to support that. So for sure, constantly doing all kinds of imagining of what we're going to do or what we might do. I told a panel yesterday that I wanted $2 million for the next movie.
What?
And it just came out of my mouth casually. And I was like, okay, Erin. I was like, I hear myself. So yeah, I think
You're going to manifest it.
think
That
it
$2 million
happens.
is coming. I love it.
To culturally change expectations. Growing up Indian in Canada is very different.
I love the sexual harassment section. I think it really names kind of the struggle of having to detangle the images that we see in the media with how we show up and just wanting to get the work done.
Absolutely.
And I like the different ways that it manifests for both Komal and Amanda. It's like totally different, but yet it's so universal and something we just all feel.
And it's really like one of the first ways that men, when they feel threatened or they feel like they are in some way losing power, it's one of the first ways they assert it. It's just by making a snide comment or, you know, making you feel objectified in some way. I find all the time that's like the go-to for the first stage to make you feel lesser.
Yeah. I loved this shot, and I held on to it for Komal's journey because I felt like it really embodies what she wants to give to young people and kind of the energy and the joy she brings to her work. And I'm so in love with all of these little girls, and they just keep calling her, yes, miss, yes, miss. And there's one girl at the end who just gives her the biggest high five. It's like the cutest ever. Oh, Jess Peterson of Mighty Oak making a little cameo.
Cameo! So many cameos in here.
Oh yeah, I just threw all my friends into all the scenes all the time.
Julie Siegel is one of my favorites at the breakfast meeting.
And I don't know if people know this, but all of the women we are showing are actually entrepreneurs. Like, none of these people are, you know, not entrepreneurs. Like, they're all actually either doing a side hustle, running a company. You know, these aren't just random people we found. They're actually all CEOs.
And the potential for impact of those women when they become
I also like that there's a guitar.
I know.
Just casually. Like, you know, she was wearing that jean jacket, and I was like, this is really giving me, like, a country vibe.
Oh my
Do you know what I mean?
god,
Like a
let's
little
lean into
T-Swift.
that. She is from Alberta, so
Yeah, I
maybe
just thought-
I think she'd appreciate
Maybe
that.
we'll do some manifesting for Komal here.
I kind of love that.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice little... Couldn't you see her picking up a guitar
Absolutely
after this
not.
with the jean jacket?
No, I don't think I could ever see that.
I don't
but
think I've ever seen Komal play an instrument.
I've seen her
Although
play
she
the
can
piano.
sing.
After meeting
I've seen her play the piano.
Komal and I hit it off.
Well, now we know.
I was inspired by her contagious energy and passion.
My hair is so long.
Oh, I was like, you're not even on screen. But yeah, it is so long. Well, I mean, your hair was so long till last summer.
Yeah, I guess so. It seems outrageous.
to the world.
That shot is when Komal and I were in California, actually. pretending to know how to play bocce ball.
Yeah, where the hell are you playing bocce ball in this?
The office space that we rented out of had like a little court that nobody ever used and was a little waste of space. But nobody was in there, so we decided to shoot in there.
What a fun thing to do.
Yeah, this was actually behind the scenes footage. I think we were going to shoot for something else, and then ended up when we decided Komal's, or I guess when I decided Komal's story was going to be interwoven. We pulled it out. This is funny too because Komal hates these highlights. Like an
Really?
Egyptian woman did it to her, and she like hated them.
Oh no.
There's some of Joanne's cool art.
Capture Proof's company we're invested in. This is company we're invested as well. Sweden, they said that.
Do you remember when we were on the train
Some of these things I've
and somebody was talking about JustWorks, and I was like, why have I heard about JustWorks? And you're like, because Joanne's invested in them, and I was like, oh my god, this movie is implanted in my brain.
I do remember that.
Do you want to create a wall of things that you already have a little
I
bit of
have
a wall
one
going?
kind of behind you. I have
What am I
some. I
saying?
have some junk that I've started to accumulate.
Some junk.
Notes and letters.
Display your junk.
I walked up to him and I didn't say what I should have said.
I feel like this section of the movie about investment and about money specifically is. It's not one of my favorites, I would say, but it's like I think it's so deeply important that we talk about money.
Yeah.
And we talk about what it takes to ask somebody for money. It almost makes me uncomfortable when I hear it because I know that like it needs to be more embedded in like the conversations we have.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about it.
Well, no, I mean, it's such a thing. Even when we were talking to some entrepreneurs last year about, venture capital dollars and women who were looking to raise, it's such a huge problem and nobody talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
career, I started hearing from all these women.
God, her clothes are everything.
And they needed
I even like you can't really see it, but this necklace she's wearing is so cool too. Just fangirling over Joanne's look. There's the necklace again.
There it is. I like the polka dot, like embossed polka dot sweater.
This quote that Joanne says is literally everything.
woman-centric, perhaps, idea. It's hard to get across what you're doing, or maybe even to connect with
Yeah.
On the other hand, we're in a world where
I love these shots of her in the sunglasses. It's so Joanne.
it's a $255
$1 billion.
global business of what is transacted on the web. Women account for 60% of those.
Do women know that they account for 60% of this?
Girl.
Like, are we
all the
aware?
influence. I mean, no, I don't think we do know. What a mic drop.
I'm like not. I wish.
I wish someone would put it in a movie.
I wish someone
that
would
we
put
could
this in a
all
movie.
see.
Yeah, that was like posted online on YouTube or something that we could all watch.
God, and then to have Suzanne West be like, yeah, and I just raised $300 million. No problem. Like, everybody needs to step it up. God, Suzanne, she's the best.
and growing something that is truly amazing is asking people for money. It's actually part of the fun.
Look who's asking people for money.
Uh-oh.
What's talk a little bit about what it was like to pitch Joanne and what this day was like when you got funded.
I actually wore that blue kimono thing to pitch her. It was like a really easy conversation actually, and I feel guilty saying that because a lot of entrepreneurs and founders try over and over and over again to get funded and they never do. And Joanne just sat there and heard me, and we like had a great conversation, and she just was all in. It was really, really, I don't want to say effortless because we did the work and we, had our numbers and we really talked it out, and I was so nervous, but I did go get ice cream and cry in the park afterwards.
How did that feel to sit across from someone and just like be seen so fully by them?
I mean, I think in a lot of ways it really, and we should talk about Tracy Chadwell too. I know she's
my
your
eyeballs
favorite.
were scanning and
your
I was
favorite,
like,
your favorite in Dreamgirl.
love Tracy Chadwell.
But I think it just, women need to be investors and women need to invest more. And Joanne will talk about it later, but it was one of the mantras. It's like how refreshing to feel seen, and how many women sit across the table and don't feel seen by these men because men, are controlling the capital right now and controlling investment. So I think it's less than 2% of venture capitals are women. So like when you're not going to be seen, it was a real privilege. Did you want to say anything about Tracy Chadwell?
Okay, so
As
Tracy,
we've moved
yeah,
on.
I know. I haven't moved on. I'm still emotionally with her, but so she's in this film for like approximately a second. Mm-hmm. And when we went to that event with her last year at Microsoft, and we were talking to her, and I don't think you'd seen each other since you'd filmed together. I had never met this woman in person. And I said to her, and she's such a warm person. Like, she gave me a big hug, and she was like, it's so nice to meet people from Erin's team, da-da-da-da. And I said, you're my favorite character in the film. She was like, what? Like, are you out of your mind?
I think she brings a lot of softness to Joanne. And I think when they have that conversation about, like, you can cry to your investor, I thought that was revolutionary. I was like, oh man, I need to call Joanne right now and unload like some heavy emotion. I think that was a really, for me as a founder who had never experienced a relationship with an investor like that, I thought that was a really breakthrough moment, that they're going to be emotional support. They're going to guide you. They're going to be there with you. But yeah, I think like that emotional support is everything.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, just seeing that conversation, you never see two women have that conversation on screen, and it was groundbreaking for me when I watched it. I met Como like 3 days before she went on this trip.
Really?
Yeah, she was like,
I feel like this scene really embodies the way Como just drops headfirst into a situation of like, you know, thinking about distribution, wanting to be part of marketing, and then just getting on a plane.
she's like, I'm going to con. Here's your new job. Take over my email while I'm gone.
Bye.
Bye.
And their access to capital and what they're going to help us do in the future. It's just
She's a
like,
great speaker.
own that space, step into your power, and those financiers will come to you.
I love all this footage.
As time went on,
Oh my god, the WeWork office.
Como was more than just a great business partner and friend. She'd become an invaluable asset to our movement. So I asked her if she would move to New York and be my co-founder.
I love this look.
Everyone laughs so hard in screenings, like, what did you just ask me to do?
I think the other huge part of my life is my husband, and I've been very lucky.
This is also, I mean, I guess we just keep talking about how great all the moments are, but I do think it's really important to talk about your partners and
Yeah.
to talk about the level of success you're going to have. And I love the idea of little girls watching this and knowing that, like, the partner you choose is going to affect your career. And I also love that I should be saying, I intentionally chose that shot of him doing the dishes. Because I wanted to show that the support happens emotionally, but it happens like with just doing the work at home too, which is such a
Yeah.
huge part. Girls actually who see their fathers do laundry are more successful than girls who don't.
Yeah.
So I think this is like our little micro nod to the allies who are there to support us.
I also just love their physical
Oh my gosh,
relationship.
it's so interesting because Annie is so like stoic and straightforward, and then to see her that warmth, it's almost like a totally different side of her. It was shocking to see.
I feel like but it's funny because like every time I see her, and like I've only met her twice in the past like 2 years, but she always gives me this huge warm hug, and she's
she
just like
is
very
warm.
Yeah. So I love that, like, her talking about her husband's influence on her life. They're literally seen physically as a unit, and I think that's so cool. Oh man.
This is what I mean. I feel like I always cry when I hear Clara talk about this.
Yeah.
So I said goodbye to it, but it was my greatest accomplishment. And I still had that.
Nobody can take that away. What a, like, rising again, you know,
Yeah.
of knowing when to walk away, knowing when to leave your company. I mean, I feel like we've all had those moments in our lives where it was like, this isn't working out anymore and we've got to pivot or change. I love that Clara can hold so much love still for the process
Yeah.
and for the release. I think is really, really powerful.
Again, the animations, my god.
The colors are so great. I should also say that my husband wrote most of the music for Dreamgirl
Yeah.
and did all of him, and then my friend Johnny Laszlo did a couple of compositions too, more of the dreamy kind of longer guitar riffs were him. But Sal wrote a lot of, and we've got a soundtrack on Spotify people can listen to while they're working through their day.
I listened to it like the other week, and I was
Did ya?
like, this is the part where Joanne is like doing this, and I'm such a nerd. I love it. Look at this. These gorgeous textiles.
To just jam them into a suitcase.
I'm
This is
going
like
to get
this
it.
is the biggest when we screen the film. This is always the loudest reaction people.
Absolutely.
That's how I know the crowd is awake. I always poke my head in during Mariana's part, and then I'm like, is anybody listening?
Are we still here, people? Are we still with it? What was it like to meet MARIAMA'S mom?
It's really cool. She's it's so beautiful. I think that their family is so involved in each other's, you know. Mariama's sister Asada is also part of, you know, There Is No Limit Foundation. And it's cool just to see how supportive they all are of each other. And, like, Mariama's mom was literally doing the accounting when we walked in, and we, you know, asked her to kind of talk a little bit about it. So, you know, and I think it's a little bit full circle, too, because we see Krista talking about how sometimes your parents aren't going to get it, you know, and, you know, maybe eventually they'll get on board. We can hope.
That is the goal. This is a big...
Oh my
It's
God,
another
when
moment.
When Annie said this on set, I was just like, what are you talking about? I was like not emotionally prepared to like receive this information, and I was like so thankful that she felt vulnerable enough and like secure enough in that space to share that with us. I mean, what a powerful statement, you
Yeah.
know, to really anchor in the privilege of being where we are right now.
And the fact that, like, thinking it should be easy and why isn't it? Like kind of reframing how you see the work, how you see your relationships, how you see putting the perspective on everything can be so grounding. And I love that she has that.
Annie received a BA in chemistry from the University of Pennsylvania, where she graduated cum laude, and MBA from the Wharton Business School, and the MA in
Just throwing down all those credentials.
MA, BA, Wharton, whatever.
Cum laude, all
It's
of
fine.
it. Boom, boom, boom.
Bye.
Manufacturing costs even vary by location. Let's take two examples. You're in Dayton, Ohio, or you're in Beijing, China. Why would a part actually cost differently? The rent is different between Dayton, Ohio, and Beijing, China. The material cost could be different. The labor cost could be different. And all of those variables affect
She's so amazing.
Her and Zach split up all their speaking so that they do half and half too. They're really intentional about it.
Wow.
A couple of years ago, Linda said, Mom,
Here we go again.
didn't come fun.
And I said, what?
No, I am done. I am 80 years old. I really don't need to go down that path again.
That's where we're gonna have lunch later.
Came back and she asked again.
You know, it's one of the cool things Clara said watching this film. She said, I love how much food plays a part in our family. And she was like, I didn't realize it until I watched Dreamgirl. And I saw like how many of our conversations, just how much of our relationships with one another is based around food and mealtime.
Absolutely.
The quiche
Well, I
scene.
think what a joy to be able to work with your family and bond over food and have dinners together and have it be really intentional. You know, I feel like as an entrepreneur, you're kind of squeezing work in at all
Yeah.
times. So it's so nice that they're able to do this. And this shot is taken in Clara's apartment in Harlem, which is really cool. It's all white, and then the living room is just accents of blue. And then her room is all, I want to say it's like peaches, or it's very color coordinated though, her apartment. It's cool.
So concerned about what's the exit with that.
This is Joanne's big declaration about investment and women who have that money.
More like
Use your money. We need more money out there.
my career, I have something to offer that person, and I'm going to invest in women that I care about, that I'm passionate about their business. And it's
I
something
want all the women to watch this and email me and say, we started a fund. We're going to do this for the female entrepreneurs in our community.
Yes.
about their success more than anything else. Some level of success that they
And Krista from Finifuse and Joanne are actually, this shot, they're actually having a meeting about, because Joanne is invested in her company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did you, is
we
that
weren't
how,
staging that at all. They just happened to be connected, and actually didn't know that when we cast them both, but then
you didn't know that when you
serendipitous.
cast them? That's so
No.
funny. How did you connect to Fit and Phoebes?
My friend Dave, I believe, recommended them to me, and then they did ice cream at one of Sal's work parties, and he met them, and then it just kind of, you know, the ball kept.
I love like the
rolling.
way that all these people were just brought into the net. It's so much fun.
Somebody asked me once, like, the role that New York plays in this film and if I could have done it in any other city. And I feel like I didn't know the answer to that question at the time, but I really love the stakes of New York. And what Mariama said there about, like, there's so many people going, you know, even the shots of, like, the streets, it's so intense. And I feel like having those stakes of it, like, this is New York City, really adds to the risk-taking value, I think, and, you know, what these women are doing to make it happen.
And the money that's here, as, like, embodied by Joanne kind of in the movie, is, like, the power of what some people are able to bring to the table in this city is so important.
Como was so mad at me when we shot this because I would not let her go into her apartment for the first time without the cameras. So this is actually her, like, looking at it all for the first time.
That's so funny.
And she was like freaking out.
Whoop whoop.
I think we're in 50 different countries now.
Yeah, at least I would say.
I wish when I was a kid that I knew what I know.
This is the best part.
Truly, listeners, this is the best part. This is the one.
Have dreamed that I would be the person that I am. I never would have dreamed that I would have actually had the largest African American bookstore in the country that made $1 million.
Preach, Clara, preach.
So it tells me that I can dream bigger. And you can start and you can feel scared. And that's okay.
It's okay.
Every time you start something, it's okay to feel scared. Feeling scared tells you. And it is scary.
I love that little laugh, whoever that is.
So it's all right to feel scared. But it doesn't mean don't do it.
Yes! What were you most scared of when you started Dream Girl?
Everything.
Name something. What was the biggest
I think
fear?
the beginning was the hardest part. Like, telling people that I wanted to make a movie seemed so big. And I remember we were wedding shopping, and I had kind of started clipping together a trailer, and I wouldn't show my mom. Like, I was so embarrassed. And so, like, you can see the little girls are all wearing their gymnastics clothes.
So cute.
Yeah, I think it's the hardest to start. I think it's the hardest to get over the hurdle of, like, what am I doing? You know, can I actually do this? It's such a big journey. It's going to take years. It's going to take hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think the beginning, it was definitely the trickiest part and the scariest.
Did you feel the need, like you mentioned not showing the trailer to your mom, did you feel the need to protect it as if, like, it could be
felt
broken?
so vulnerable. I felt like I was putting my guts in someone's face. It was, like, too much. Like, it was too... And, you know, the first couple of times that I would sit through the theater and watch it with people, I would feel the same way. You know, that the vulnerability, I think, of, like, all of these moments and all of these, you know, clips and all these women who I deeply am invested in. I mean, it is, as a filmmaker, it's excruciating to have to sit there and feel like your heart is on a plate for people to like or not like or love, or, I mean, you don't know how people are going to project onto it, so...
Oh my god, the amount of Thai food we ate in that apartment.
I love that little clip with the Chinese curtains. Here I am. If you notice, this is Halloween, October 31st. I'm a hippie for Halloween. Which is why I'm in this weird
You're
outfit
a hippie
with,
for real
like...
life, too.
I love that little spin.
What are you most excited about the film being online on YouTube now?
I just want everyone to see it. I'm ready for the floodgates to open and for people to, you know, be able to watch it and then have these conversations like we just had. You know, I want them to feel seen. I want them to know they don't need permission to follow their dreams. I want them to be inspired. I want them to take risks. I think there's so much here for people. I want them to watch it again and again. And sign up for our newsletter. And thank you, Diana, for joining me.
Thank you, Erin, for making such an incredible movie for all of us.
As we banter together. There's your name. I will also say, if you want to hear Diana and I talk more about film and television and pop culture, we have a podcast called Beaver Talk, which comes out every Feminist Wednesday, where we give Hollywood unsolicited advice about feminism that people can Google and listen to.
Share all of the thoughts there. This is such a gorgeous film, Erin, truly.
Thank you, Diana.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I hope everyone loves it and everyone has a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, however you're consuming this thing. All right, signing off.
Bye!
Bye.
And I have to have a title, but I gave myself a title.
What is it?
President.